See some other things coming in chat here about great experiences for everybody. How to make them fun and accessible. Yes, accessible courses often have a bad reputation for being boring and ugly. So that gets to my next question. What's there? Why not? Now, who's there? I'm not saying what's your why not. And maybe you have a why not, but especially out there, there are people that you may encounter who will think, well, you don't really need to do this because, and we just heard one. Accessible courses are boring and ugly. That's a why not for some people. That's why we're not doing it. I just heard time as a potential concern. Yep. It's legit. I'm not going to pretend it's not going to be more work to make this happen. It's more work to do good instructional design. I mean, a lousy course is the easiest thing to build, right? Good. What else? What are some of the why nots you hear?
Diane, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to call the elephant in the room. A big portion of the why not is that those that are usually in power and our decision makers are usually not those that have had barriers to their ability of being able to succeed.
Exactly.
And so they don't think it's necessary.
Very true.
Yeah. Good. So some people think we don't need it at all. Yeah. So some of the most common arguments I hear would be things like, nobody with a disability could do this job. Have you ever come across that? Yep. Okay, I'd like to ask for a volunteer who has relatively good vision. Glasses are okay. And I have got about 4 questions to ask you. Would anybody like to volunteer? Somebody with relatively good vision. Okay, thank you. And that is, I'm sorry, it's not showing me your name.
Erica.
What's your name? Erica.
It's Erica.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
why. That's so sad.
Okay, Erica, thank you for volunteering. Okay, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, can you tell me what this is?
I believe those are 2 loaves of baked bread.
Yes, so that is a blurry image of 2 loaves of bread. And it's not some fancy macular degeneration filter. It's just the blur filter in PowerPoint. Okay, so yes, that is 2 loaves of bread. Next, how about this one?
I'm going to go with bananas, but that's a bananas picture. So
yes, you are absolutely right. That is a similarly blurry picture of bananas. So would you say, Erica, that if, let's say this was your level of vision,
right?
Do you think perhaps with a little bit of accommodation and a little bit of specialized training and partnership with your cashier, do you think with this level of vision, you would be able to bag groceries in a way that you didn't put these bananas on top of that bread and squish it? You think you could do that with this level of vision?
I think yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable. In fact, I would even argue you wouldn't need this level of vision.
Probably not. You probably don't need any vision because you'd be relying on tactile.
Yeah.
Weight.
Exactly.
What it feels like.
With a little bit of help in how to navigate the systems and some support from the cashier about a few things. Absolutely. Okay, so this is your level of vision. We determined that yes, you are able to be a cashier. So can you please take my e-learning course?
I would love to, Diane.
Yeah.
I have some challenges in front of me.
Yeah, so here we have an e-learning course with the same blur filter. This is the same amount of blur as the bread and the bananas.
Yeah,
so
stupendous.
You could do your job. You just couldn't take the training.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic point.
Thanks. We need to be careful that we don't make assumptions about what people can and can't accomplish in their lives. I don't believe it is my job as an instructional designer to say what somebody can and cannot accomplish. So whenever anybody says, well, somebody with a disability couldn't do this job, I think you need to be careful about making those assumptions about people. And if they can't do the job, ask yourself why. Are there barriers that can be removed? Oh yeah, you can do the job. You just couldn't get through our hiring system, our HR system, our orientation, our online application process, our benefits process, our timekeeping. Yeah, you could do the job. You could do the work. You just couldn't do the job because none of our systems are accessible. And that's another reason why we don't have sometimes people in our organization. So if we say nobody, nobody with an accessibility or with a disability can do this job, I think we need to ask ourselves, says who?
Well, Diane, and just hearing you list that, what I'm also thinking too is that, oh no, I just lost my thought. What we're saying, I think then there's also a need to unpack the statement of somebody with a barrier cannot do this job. And if the data that is presented to us is that, well, they can't use the online HRIS, or they can't do this e-learning course, these are two different things that we have to talk about. Then we have to talk about, right, the ability and the accessibility of the tools with which we provide people that may not even be training focused, to not use that as a corollary to say that then therefore this person cannot do this job.
Right. So all the support services that are needed for somebody to do their job, like HR systems and such. But then also, have we built the job around the assumption of a certain set of abilities? And that is our entire operating, and that's the definition of being ableist. I don't know if you've heard that term. Ableist means the default assumption is the traditional set of abilities. And most jobs are centered around that. And yet with a little bit of creativity, many jobs could be changed if they needed to. So nobody with a disability could do this job is one of the big why nots. And then another one is we don't have anybody with a disability in our organization or in this job. Okay, well, we're going to play a game. Have you ever heard the game Two Truths and a Lie? Yeah, where you say, it's a networking game where you say 3 things about yourself, 2 are true, 1's a lie, and the other person has to guess. I'm going to do 2 truths and a couple of lies about me, myself. Okay, you ready? Number 1. I have tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. Number 2, I have dyslexia. Number 3, I am colorblind. Number 4, I have limited feeling in my fingertips because of cancer treatments when I was a child. And I have frozen shoulder and have limited mobility in my right arm. 2 of those things are true. Do you know which ones? It's a rhetorical question because you don't, unless one of you watched If You Ask Betty, in which case you know the answer to that question. And I'm not going to tell you the answer to that question. Some of my coworkers don't know the answer to that question. People do not need to self-reveal, and not all disabilities are visible. So I just read off 5 things that you wouldn't necessarily know about me, and all 5 of them could impact how I interact with an e-learning course. So we don't have anybody in our organization with a disability? Yeah, you do. And I think we can all think of reasons why somebody may choose not to self-identify. So we need to just set that aside. Do you have people in your organization with disabilities? Yes.